Hi! I'm the Woodpecker today. I'm fixing this bedroom set that was given to me for the wood. But one thing I can say is I had to give a lot of love to some of the pieces. Several months ago, our daughter finally moved into her apartment. This is what's left of her furniture. It went out the door soon after. Now the room is empty, but when Serge gave us this bedroom set for reclaimed wood, Renée decided to keep it for the guest room. Each piece has something broken. I begin by fixing One Nightstand. It's the simplest one to fix. I just have to reglue one slider support. The room is filled with the first pieces. Then I went for the second easiest, this dresser. One side of a drawer became unglued. During the remainder of this video, you'll be able to see that this set had already been fixed in the past and the job was a bit sloppy. I figured that the easiest thing to do is to reglue the side with epoxy and clamp it. The rest of the dresser is fixed inside the house. I mix more epoxy and glue a shelf support. To be sure it's level, I use 2 sticks of wood the same length. With a bit of pressure, this will stay in place. 3 months later, I have a bit of time to finish the job. I begin with this dresser. Looking at the back, it's obvious that this was a piece put back together with scrap from a pre-finished wall. The first thing I glue back is a separator between 2 drawers. If all the fixing would be this easy, I wouldn't have spent the next 2 days on this. While the glue dries, I take care of this slider. I go the easy way and drill holes for screwing the piece back into place. Here it's obvious that the last time this dresser was fixed, it was a rush job. Okay, what I'm doing is not an improvement. But with this piece screwed and glued in place, I can put the slider back. On the other side, there's a shelf. But this is too much. We won't be able to put anything on this. I will make a brand new shelf. For this, I use some of my nice Baltic birch plywood. I find a piece and cut it to the right size. At the back, there's a support for the mirror, so I need to cut a notch. Before going any further, I try it in place. Since it's perfect, I glue some edging on the front. Then I remove the excess by sanding it. It's a shame to have to stick such a nice edging when the next thing I'm going to do is paint this white. I brush on 2 coats of paint followed by a coat of varnish. Varnish is more resistant than paint. The next day, I try this in place. Perfect. A second dresser fixed. All the easy work is done now. And fixing the mirror frame will not be as simple. It's held together with screws and metal plates. Not great. Before removing the plates, I trace lines for some mortises. Then the screws can come off. I make some joinery, which is not end grained, glued on face grained, held in place with metal plates. After gluing the dominoes and putting all this back in place, I screw back the plates. They will help with the clamps. I do this again for the other small frame and let the glue dry. To fix the central frame, I have to use a different technique. The bottom rail will also be held in place with dominoes. But since I can do the same for the top one, I will use dowels instead. To align the holes on the stile, I use centering pins. I can't use my jig for the last corner, so I drill the holes by eye. Before gluing this together, I do a dry fit. Now that I know how many clamps I will need, I can glue this together. This takes a lot of clamps. I make sure it's square and leave this to dry. When I remove the clamps, I can see that some of my glue joints are not great. I mix wood dust with transparent glue and fill the gaps with this paste. I could have used some wood filler, but at least paste glue has a bit of glue power. Now I'm going to begin to work on what gave me the most trouble, the headboard. Like most of the other pieces, it was held in place with screwed metal brackets. The posts were not long enough, so they had added this to make them longer. I will do something better than that. I begin by gluing some added support at the end. As you can see, I'm also using old furniture that I've kept for the wood. While the glue dries, I can take care of extending the posts. For this, I need to rip some wood smaller. I glue two pieces together and leave that aside for a bit because the next thing to do is to spread glue on one of the other pieces and put the glue up on top right away. I do this 2 more times. Now I have a glue up made up of 4 layers. I just need to wait for the glue to dry. 5 hours later, I cut this in 2 blanks to the size of the posts. To make sure I have a nice flat surface, I cut the ends of the posts. Then I drill 4 mortises at the end of a post. Same thing at the end of one glue up. Here's how I will extend the posts. One done, another one to do. All done. But I have one small problem. With 100mm dominoes, it's not that easy to take this apart. But gluing this back together right after is a breeze. I just have to let this dry overnight. The next morning, I sand the lower part of the posts. Then I route a new cove. The cove bit missed some places on the original post, so I removed the varnish with sandpaper. After making sure both posts are at the same place, I cut them. Now it's possible to cut the mortises that will hold them in place. Originally, this was like that. Nothing was holding the bottom in place. No wonder nothing held together. I will fix this. Here it is, the headboard with all its pieces. I need to glue this in place. But before doing that, I'm going to stain this. Okay, it would have been so much easier if I had used cedar like the original posts. I will stain this with shellac tinted with concentrated dye. The first test is not the color I want. I look at the colors I bought and add another tint. Not to my liking either. I add more drops. I think this will do. I apply it on the posts. In the end, I have nice posts with 3 different colors. I will live with that. I glue all of this together. Now I just need to wait for the glue to dry. I brush 2 coats of varnish. I begin with the back of the headboard. I lay it down on my Lazy Susan. This is much simpler like that. I brush 2 coats like that. The next day I realize that I have no place to screw the headboard to the metal frame of the bed. I need to do something. This will go here, just like that. But I need to remove the nice varnish I had brushed the day before. Then I can glue this. I only need to slide the tenon into the slot I've cut and clamp it. Now I need to wait for this glue to dry a bit before continuing. So I take this opportunity to take care of the mirrors. Here, Renée is helping me a bit. Good, the mirrors are in place. This took enough time that the glue is now dry enough so I can add a 4th tint to the headboard. When the shellac is dry, I brush 2 coats of varnish. The next day, it's really possible to put the headboard in place. And with this last screw, Renée is super happy. Our guest room is now ready for our next visitors. The best part is that the 4 different colors are not showing when the nightstand is beside the headboard. Okay, this furniture is not really trendy, but it cost us almost nothing to fix, except a little bit of glue and several dominoes. So if one day you come visit us and you have to sleep over, you'll see this with your own eyes. Until then, you can come back to the Woodpecker.